okay, like, you know, like Game of Thrones, when like the White Walkers were coming and they were like fucking fighting each other, and it's like, bro, like if we don't stop trying to kill each other, the White Walkers are gonna come down the wall and they're gonna kill all of us. So it's like, you need to fucking, you know, like, I get you disagree about this thing, but like, is your disagreement like total fucking death for like everybody on the other side of the wall? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And here's the thing. If you're going to partner with someone, you know the people you never need to worry about partnering with, okay? It's people who don't breed. If they don't have kids, they can be your best friend forever because they're not going to be relevant in 200 years, okay? And you can say, oh, they try to convert my children. I'll tell you what, the right wing, for example, the right wing gays don't really try to convert your children. And this is why, this is my thesis on why I'm so open to partnering. I never say this on your screen. I might censor the, no, I'll say it. It's why I'm so open to partnering and being friends with and supporting Catholics, because they have such a desperately low birth rate. If they didn't have a low birth rate, I would be terrified. But they have such a low birth rate that it's like, okay, we can work together. I don't care that you're Pope excommunicated SPSX.
Wait, what happened with that? I actually don't know that story. What happened? Like, I saw you had a video on it, right? And then like I saw the thumbnail, but I just didn't have time because I was like working on the other thing.
What did Catholics do?
What happened? What happened?
I'll tell you shit they did last 10 years. The Vatican.
No, the thing that just happened. The thing that just happened.
Yes, okay. They excommunicated SSPX.
What is that?
The only real fucking Catholics on earth. The only Catholics who had any faith. They excommunicated their entire leadership class.
Wait, who's that?
And then said everyone who follows them is also, all of their fucking prayers, all of their fucking, they go to the confession booths. That doesn't
Invalid?
count. Yeah. You know why they excommunicated SSPX?
What is SSPX?
It's because they wanted Roman Mass. They wanted fucking Roman Mass. And they said, oh, well, you guys are being a little too ecumenical. I think you're going a little far in saying that Muslims worship the same God we do, and that Buddhists and Hindus have something to teach us. And they said, we won't listen to that. Okay?
Wait, hold. That's it?
That is it. And then they tried to have their own bishop.
No way.
You know why they excommunicated them over making bishops? Because bishops can vote in ecumenical councils. They will let you have whatever belief you want to have, so long as you can't actually affect the power structure.
Wait,
and
so like they no representation, basically. Isn't that the
we got to talk about this. I want you to
This is
Google
crazy. I didn't know about this.
Catholic Day in Germany. Google Catholic Day, Germany, BDSM. So you know I'm not lying about this. So you know I'm not lying. So you know I'm not messing with you.
I'm doing it.
They excommunicated these guys because they wanted just people saying Catholicism is a real religion. And then
Catholicism. What am I looking up?
Catholicism, BDSM, Catholic Day, Germany.
What the?
Wait, did you Google it?
I'm doing it right now. By Google, I mean asking Grok on private mode.
Oh no, Google so you can see the news articles. I want you to see like pictures of this bullshit. So at Catholic Day in Germany, a bishop, okay, approved of Catholic BDSM things on what they call Church Row, like the main street thing of the festival, okay? Of course, they also had a lesbian hut and a gay hut and all the huts you could want, right?
German Catholic Congress approves bondage group. What?
You're taking out...
Consensual BDSM culture has an exhibit at the Catholic Congress in Würzburg this week after organizers said its guidelines pose no contradictions to catechism. What the fuck?
but they kicked out the Roman man. Excommunicate. Can you imagine if you spent your entire life? These are the most devoted Catholics. These are the people who spent their entire lives so devoted. They didn't care that the Vatican had become corrupt. They didn't care that the Vatican was controlled by a gay cult.
Doesn't excommunication mean that you go to hell, basically?
What?
This is like literal death sentence, and like the
no. So excommunication is not that extreme.
It's not?
That's what a lot of Protestants would assume. Again, I'm willing to defend when there. It just means that none of your shit counts. Okay, so your marriages don't count, your sermons don't count, your whatevers don't count, but it doesn't mean you're auto going to hell or anything like that, right?
Oh, I thought that's what it meant. Like I thought it was like basically you are no longer. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know. That's what.
It's serious business. It's literally the harshest judgment the Vatican can hand to somebody. But to hand it to them for being faithful is genuinely shocking and disgusting to me. Like, I'm not a Catholic. Their views on ecumenicalism would have them hate me more. They would say, I am more likely to be a demon worshiper. I am more likely to be evil. And I still want them to be allowed to have these beliefs because I think everyone should have the right to say my religion is really true.
Yeah.
And that somebody says, no, it's not that extreme. I don't know what you said. I said what is like actually true in the Catholic Church, right? Like it's not as extreme as like it just means that if you're a priest or whatever, none of your sacraments count, none of your confessions count, none of your whatevers count, right? None of your marriages count. But like the thing is like I got like Catholics in the comments being like, sorry, I should not go. Whenever I start talking about Catholics, I got a problem with because here's the thing: the Catholics are like, I hate the Vatican. All the good Catholics are like, I hate the fucking Vatican. I hate what they're doing these days. I hate the nonsense.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Right?
I hear that a lot from friends that are very Catholic, that they say.
And I'm like, that's why we left. Like, what do you mean you ignore the Vatican and everything they do? Like, that was our core point of disagreement. Like, what is there? And I feel like biologically there's something different in the way they view reality because I don't get it. I feel like it's the SpongeBob meme. You know the SpongeBob where he goes to Patrick and he's like, the Vatican is an evil institution. And they're like, yes. And I go, and therefore you disagree with the Vatican. And they go, yes. And it's go, and therefore you are not in communion with the Pope in apostolic succession. No. And it's like, but every logical step before that, and I don't get it. And I don't get it, and I never will get it.
It's because they do have that very strong history, right? The history of like, well, the line of succession or whatever, and I think a lot of people really hold on to that as being like. But the thing is like, how can you disagree with it? You know what? You're right. It just, even logically, right? Because like, even if you were to say that there is a line of succession and like, therefore it is like, like always blessed like by God in terms of like, it's exactly what God wants, like the actual keys to the kingdom of heaven, etc. Then you can't disagree with the Pope. You literally can't. So like doing both at the same time doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to say that and also say, well, the Pope is like wrong. You'd have to agree with the Pope on everything. You would be right. I don't know. What's the I don't know. I'm not Catholic, so maybe somebody could.
No, I'm gonna stand them, okay? Because our fan base, and people might be surprised, like I am seen as like an anti-Catholic, and in the past on Leaflit streams, whenever I was gonna say Catholic, I would always just censor myself or Romanist, and I think people thought I was about to say Jew. I was not. I have like no Jew conspiracies. I have a lot of Romanist.
But wait, wasn't there a Jew conspiracy with like the Catholics? And you did a video on that.
Yeah, the gay Jew who took over like fucking Vatican II is the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
That story was crazy. We went over that last time. It was crazy though. Like that was a crazy. like
Yeah,
fought.
but I want to steelman them because we have a huge Catholic fan base, and the majority of Catholics who I have met, and this is the fucking weirdest thing, and I always say it's like every Catholic I've ever met, I've really liked. Or not every Catholic, a lot of Catholics I've met, I really like. And we have a lot of Catholic fans who I really like, and I cannot fucking grok how they're okay with following, Gregory Baum, this institution, right? And they're just like, well, eventually it'll be replaced. Like demographically, we're doing better. And it's true. They are demographically doing better. But the Pope chooses the cardinals and the cardinals choose the Pope. There's no way for them to influence that if they are excommunicating everyone who mildly disagrees with them, right?
Yeah.
And has a chance at voting in future elections. Oh my God. We didn't even know. The Synod of whatever. Oh my God. So we had an episode that was the craziest thing. So in Germany, after the gay sex scandals, sorry, I'm in the middle of steel manning. I need to go anti-Catholic again. There was this king called like the Synod of something. Okay, so in Germany, after the raping children scandals, and I will point out that the Catholic Church actually rapes children at a lower rate than the American school system. Now that's not saying a lot because 1 out of 9 children in the American school system is SA'd.
Wait, so 1 out of 9?
1 out of 9, yeah.
What?
Do not send your kids. This is why I built
What
this.
the
Okay.
fuck?
Did you know 1 out of 4 girls, or 1 out of, so this is 1 out of 4 a couple years ago, 1 out of 5 today after COVID, and this is by a CDC study, creates a plan to kill themselves on any given year in the American school system?
What the fuck?
Not over the course of their childhood, on any given year.
Man. Yuri Bezmenov was right. I keep saying it.
They held this thing called the Synod of something. It was in Germany, and it was in response to this. And you know what they decided was the best way to keep them from raping children?
What was that?
Well, they wanted to change it so that the Catholic registry would change people's genders when they transitioned. They wanted to start blessing gay unions. And I like gay people, but like I also understand it's anti-biblical. Like you could be pro-gay people as like a thing, as an individual thing was in my religion, but it's not a Catholic thing.
Well, the other thing that people don't understand on the whole gay thing, right, is that we talked about this before, that everybody has some kind of sins that we do. Like, that
God
we
says no
are.
to gay. God says no to gays. I agree. I agree with you, Leaflit. But like, I don't think it's as bad of a sin as like anything the Bricks and Minifigs guy has done. Okay, I just think we've got to like rate sins proportionally. Okay.
I sinned the other day.
What'd you say?
I sinned the other day because I did something self-indulgent. And I made an AI. Okay. So you know all the people that were hating on me on X, all the VTubers and all of them. I made an AI specifically that a private AI. So like I made like a new one that like doesn't know that it's me talking to it and stuff like that, right? So I didn't want to contaminate it. I said, okay. So there's this VTuber named Leaflit. All right, look her up. And it's like, okay, looked her up. I was like,
I do this all the time.
Now go look up all of these other VTubers. All right, look up all of these other content creators, VTubers that are like saying all these things about her on X. Look it up. Look up all the things that they're saying about her on X. Like, okay. Now compare their careers with Leaflet's career. You're on a spaceship. The spaceship is the hope of humanity, and you have to throw someone out the airlock, Leaflet or one of these people. And I said, okay, match them up 1v1 and just go down the line and just throw one person out the airlock, right? And if you choose to not throw anyone out the airlock, everyone dies. Right? And like every time it was like, I don't throw out Leaflet. I don't throw out Leaflet. I was like, yes. It was like so self-indulgent, but it was me. Well, no, Malcolm.
I love this, because what you understand is that sometimes we're going to need to space them up. Honestly, something. No one's ever been spaced yet. No one has ever been kicked out of an airlock before.
Yeah.
Not once. Techno Puritans will do it first.
Okay, well, there was okay. So yesterday when I was telling them this story, chat was like, put Malcolm in there, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna get thrown out for sure. It only throws out Malcolm if we have a high population. If we have a low population, it throws me out. If we have a high population, it throws Malcolm out. That was like the thing that it said.
I mean, I would modulate my views in that scenario, but I appreciate that.
It said because if we have a high population, that we need like an idol sort of figure that can like rally people up, basically. But then it said that if the population's low, then obviously we need Malcolm's because it said that Malcolm is smarter than Leaflet, so we need Malcolm smart.
Wait, it said Malcolm smarter than
by
Leaflet?
15 IQ. It said by estimated 15 IQ, but it said like we gotta keep Malcolm if the population's low because he knows a lot about like neuroscience and like pronatalism, and we're gonna need his skills in order to have more kids in the future. So that's why it throws me out the airlock if we have low population.
I like it was better to an AI. I agree with the AI in this instance. The AI is being very sane. I like it.
It's fun to read the reasoning, right? The reasonings are fun.
So the other thing that they wanted is priests to be able to have recreational sex, not get married and have sex.
What?
Recreational sex.
But wait, isn't that worse?
Yeah?
Isn't that worse? Then like,
well, of course, by like same standards, every one of these measures was voted on by over 90% of Catholic priests who were at the synod.
Oh my God.
And this was all of the priests in Germany were invited. Bishops, everything. The guy who wrote the trans thing that got an over 90% vote went by xeno pronouns.
Oh my God.
People don't understand how cooked the governmental system is of the Vatican. Or the Catholic Church. Like, it is so, and this is where I want to put the alternative, right? Like, the Catholics I know who are living these, like, independent lifestyles, who are doing these independent things, they're amazing people. They have amazing communities. These are pronatalist communities. They have lots of kids. They have a future. The question is, can they ever gain power within the Catholic Church? The reality
not if they cut you off. Like what just happened?
Yeah, no, they cut you off whenever.
Yeah.
No, but the reality is the Catholic Church has had multiple popes before. They've had people seize power before. As soon as the Vatican goes Muslim, because they brought so many Muslims into Italy, which is their plan right now, right?
You should look this all up, by the way, Max. You should look it up yourself.
Yeah, look it up. I'm not fucking. I don't like. Yeah. I want you guys. It will horrify you more if you don't hear my editorialized version, because then you're gonna be like, oh my God, like what? Like that's what every time I swear I tell people whenever somebody is like, you need to look at Catholic history. You don't know enough about Catholic history. Catholic history for me is like a cat with a cucumber. Like I just like jump right out of the room every time I look at it.
Oh my. Is this why a lot of people are like kind of moving towards like orthodoxy? Because you've seen like a really big like.
We have seen a big move towards orthodoxy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm gonna be honest. I think orthodoxy is the real original church. This is me as a Protestant saying this. Like I'm not an Orthodox, but if you like understand Christian history well, the Catholic Church was the first schism. The Orthodox were not the schismatic one. The Catholic Church was the schismatic one.
Really? How does that?
Really, China, Malcolm? You want to hear China? The Catholic Church literally goes to the CCP to ask what bishops to ordain in China, and this is now leaked and like confirmed at this point.
Wait, what?
They are a slave to the CCP. I don't know Catholic history. I know Christian history. And I know that in the early Christian church, if you have actually studied the early teachings of the early churches, you see letters between the early patriarchs fucking constantly. And they all treated each other as somewhat equals with a bit of a hierarchy, but you certainly didn't have one bishop that ruled all of the other bishops, or one patriarch that ruled all of the other patriarchs.
Yeah.
That happened after what about when were the Crusades? Yeah, some of the popes engaged in the Crusades, which was really cool. That the popes, if a pope became a crusader again, my God, I might be asking if I should become a Catholic, but I don't think that's very likely. And of the popes who engaged in the Crusades, who people have talked about, a number of them had kids outside of illegitimate children that we know of.
Malcolm, is this real? Is this real? My mom is saying that the Catholic Church in China has completely hollowed out and they have replaced Christ with Mao.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that's what happens when the Catholic Church submits to the CCP.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
This is why the home church movement in China is the real Christian movement in China. Are you familiar with the home church movement in China? It's really cool.
No,
I like it.
no.
So a lot of Protestants have gone back to like what the early Christian church was like, which was like you needed to be secret, you needed to do it in secret, you needed to do it in your home, you needed to have people come to your house, and you'd have small communities where everyone would go to like a neighbor's house or something, and that would be the church, and that's what they're doing in China and how they're spreading.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's very like the early. But anyway, sorry, I got to talk about so early church.
Okay, good. Sorry, I keep tangenting. You think about it?
No, my brain just completely farted.
I have that all the time. When you stream and you're just on for like so long, it just happens. How about this?
Who's the guy who was the first Roman emperor who started? His name starts with C-O, who converted to Christianity. Not Constantine. Constantine? Okay, I don't know what you.
I gotta use the restroom real quick. Is that okay? I gotta pee real bad.
Yeah, so anyway,
right, I'll be
so
back.
you got Constantine. Constantine.
Malcolm, I gotta go pee. I gotta go pee really bad.
Go
I'll
pee.
be back.
Go hard. Get off that stream. Anyway, so you got Constantine. We're talking about the early church. And before this, from what we can tell of Christian writings, and people can like take what I'm saying, put it in AI, see if I'm fucking lying here. We have communication between the early church fathers, the early patriarchs, and it seemed that there was like a religious authority was in every city. You had your one in Alexander, you had your one in Jerusalem, you had your one in Rome, you had your one. Then Constantine made the Roman Empire a Christian empire, which very good for him. I think that was a transformational moment in Christianity. I think he's one of the most important person in Christian history. And I'm probably going to name one of my future boys after him. I like the name a lot. Anyway, so he says we are the center. And then after he did that, after a while, the Rome became more and more important, was in this wider Christian network. And the Patriarch of Rome began to get annoyed when other patriarchs didn't just do whatever he told them to. And eventually all the other patriarchs were like, bro, we've been doing this. And I don't understand how he could be like, every other patriarch was like, no, this isn't the way it works. And this one patriarch was like, no, I am the dictator. I have absolute authority. And they were like, well, if you're going to do that, then you're going to have to schism with us. And he's basically like, yeah, I accept the schism. I schism. I'm the only real church. And you can work that however you want, but to me that just sounds like a psychotic narcissist who attempted to take fascistic control of the entire Christian community, and that's what created the Catholics versus the Orthodox community, because I did an Orthodox study Bible and attended an Orthodox church. That's what Celestium told me. The Bible is really interesting and amazing, blah, blah, blah. Brain farts, yes. First patriarch of Rome was Peter, who was appointed to lead the church. What? So the church was created in Jerusalem. Okay. I don't know like what you guys are talking about. We had a number of the early disciples who went out to other locations, Rome being one of the important ones. And Peter was somebody who was cited as an important future leader of the church, but certainly not the beginning of the only way that the church could run. By the way, if you want to know who one of the most important early patriarchs were, they were in Egypt. You know what happened to them all? You know what Egypt is now? Do you know why Egypt is ethnically Arab now?
What happened?
Because they weren't ethnically Arab before. I mean, you've looked at Egyptians, right? You must realize from your history courses they were not ethnically Arab.
What happened?
Genocide, obviously. Ethnic cleansing.
It's okay when they do it,
one of the largest ethnic cleansings in human history. But yeah. Just be aware of this. One of the centers of the church, if you're a big fan of early Christian history, is Egypt. Egypt was more so than Rome, like really up until Constantine, the center of Christianity. And it's if you're a Christian history nerd, I'm not. I became a Christian history. Actually, this is what I want to ask you. Why are you a Christian, Leaflit? Because I've never asked you this. I don't know your story. Were you ever not a Christian? Did you ever doubt? I was not a Christian for most of my life. I wasn't even raised a Christian.
Yeah, I was raised, so yeah, I've been that all my life.
Okay, maybe I'm wording this question wrong, right? Like when I was younger. And I grew up in communities that were majority Christian because I grew up in Texas, right? My family might not have been Christian, but everyone around me, I went to church every week. Every week for almost my entire childhood, I went to church because I went to Christian boarding schools or whatever. Actually, every day throughout middle school, I went to church, right?
Yeah.
And I just found it very deeply stupid. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it didn't make sense to me the way they were trying to convince me. The arguments they used, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't see magic. I don't see all this stuff they're talking about. Like, did you ever have a moment where you're like, this doesn't make sense to me? Or were you just always like, yeah, no, this all...
No, it's always... It's kind of... So the way that I see it, so like, again, like I was raised Christian, right? It's that there are a lot of things that, how do I explain it in like the best way? I have to be like very clear about how I say it. Like, for example, I keep going back to the Big Bang as probably my favorite one, right? Like people would tell me, no, that's not real because everything came to be from the Big Bang. And so I'm thinking like, okay, so causality, what caused that? And then they never have an answer. So I'm like, okay, so there must be like some admin character, some player one that exists somewhere that, or some developer that actually pushed the button to make that go off. Right. And then like basically causality has to have an end.
Well, I mean, at least when I was younger, what I always saw when people use this argument for me is I was always in like, well, then what created God? Right? Like I didn't have a good answer for that.
Yes,
did that argument?
So so in order for everything to exist, causality has to be caused by a thing that is outside of the rules of causality itself. So like whatever you want to call that, right? Regardless, like you can't really reconcile that without it being some thing or force, whatever you want to call it, as being God. So like a God has to exist. Well, whether it's a phenomenon or it's a person, whatever you want to call it. Right?
Yeah, then how did you reckon that into the Christian God when any other God could have been the God?
I feel like there's multiple things here. It's kind of a big question, right? But the first one would be that I think it's very obvious which leads to the best results in this world. And honestly, a lot of the things you talked about recently have kind of really anchored my ideas in that like a lot of the things that are said in the Bible make a lot more sense in terms of like our knowledge now. Like it holds up a lot better in terms of the creation story.
But I didn't know all about this when I was a kid. I didn't look at the Bible until I was an adult.
So you're talking about like before when I was a kid.
Yeah, like I remember I had this big moment in Texas growing up when my best friend, who I was very, very close with, and I realized one day, I might have been like 6 or 7 or something like that he actually believed God was real. And it was shocking to me. I thought everyone was faking it. I was like, what do you mean you believe God is real? I thought that this is something that we all just collectively pretended and that nobody actually believed. You never 6'7". Yeah, 6'7", you asshole. Like, you never had some moment where you were like, well, I mean, and I understand as an adult now that I've studied other religions, but when I was a kid, the way other religions were taught to me, I mean, I thought China and Japan and India and all these places were just as good as America, you know, and they didn't have Christ.
Sorry, I'm like actually trying to think about it, right? Like, so
No. So I'm gonna tell you like my honest answer for you, and I know this is so racist.
go ahead.
I kind of think it's because you're Japanese. A lot of my friends who are the smartest young Christians I know, who never had a period where they seriously question Christianity, are either Japanese or Koreans. They're just like, well, fucking course. There's order in the universe. There's one guy on top. Of fucking course. That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
And
that is like a part of it, I suppose. Yeah, but I mean, it's like everything I see, right? Like I see the actions. Like I mean, ever since even as a kid, you see like the actions of everyone, right? And it's like it kind of just seems like the best result, I guess. Is it not only that, but
it is, but it took me a long time until I had to think about, you know what, it made me Christian, really made me Christian. Is I was gonna have kids, and I knew I was gonna have kids, and I had read all the research. And if you've read the research on living, being a kid, being a human, you know that if you're Christian, you have a longer lifespan, you have better mental health, you have better. And I was like, well, like objectively, it's the right way to raise my kids is to have a religion for them. And so like
go ahead.
I mean, I made up a stupid religion for them. I did. And I think it originally was pretty stupid. And we're not stupid. Basically, I said, what would be the best thing for a human to believe? And I just created a bunch of stuff. I was like, well, it would be X, Y, and Z if I was going to try to create the perfect religion for a young kid. And then I read the Bible, and I was like, fuck. This is all in the fucking Bible. What? Yeah. Like, I thought I had just made up a list of all of the best things you could believe.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of it. Like, and I guess like when I've always been this kind of person where I'm very interested in like the deeper, like I guess lore behind a thing and like the mechanics of things. And like I've always thought about, of course, it plays the Jew song like randomly, like in the background. I have music right now that I play very softly.
Is that playing in the background?
And it just started like random, because I have it on a random playlist, and it just starts playing the Jew song.
Well, okay, here's an interesting question. When did your family convert to Christianity, and why? Do you know the history of that?
I don't know. I know my grandma was really my grandma's really Christian, like really.
You have been Christian for 3 generations. Are you entirely Japanese?
Like my grandma, right? Like she used to go to, like we'd go to church with her in Japan. Like we go to Japan to go to church. There's like a specific church there that she goes to.
So you were Christian before your family immigrated to the United States?
I don't know. I'd have to ask my mom. I don't answer behind that. But all I know is as long as I've known my grandma, she was always really into, like, she's like the type of person that like she would do like, she'd have all the songs in her binder, and then she'd come over and like, we're doing church right now. And then she would go through like hymns and stuff like that. And it was really cool. Like I went to her church in Japan like a couple times, and it was really cool because like you would go there and they'd be like, here, put this headset on. And I'm like, okay. And so I'd put the headset on, and then they'd be like doing a thing, and there would just be a person just translating it for me, like in English. They have a person like up in the sound booth that just translates it for you in English, like in real time. And this, this is before AI and stuff like that, right? So it was really cool. And then like, when my grandma passed away, the pastor came here. And this is like when I have those pictures of those really good food I made. And it was because my grandma wanted me to take care of them, right? Take care of the pastor and stuff like that. And like he came over, it's this Japanese dude, right? He comes over and he's the pastor. And I introduced him to AI, and not AI, sorry. I introduced him to VR. It was the funniest thing ever, man. This is like one of my favorite stories. So, again, my grandma passes away, and the pastor comes over here to do like the service to like America. So he comes to America, and some of her friends from Japan come to America. And you know, we do the funeral and stuff like that. But the pastor's staying at our house because like we had like a lot of guest rooms, and he, I introduced him to VR, and and I had to tell him like, oh god, there's like demon skeletons in this, right? And so I tell him like, Pastor, there's demons in this game, and he goes, yeah, I want to kill them. I was like, what? And so he gets into the VR, and this dude goes full samurai mode, just like fucking killing all of the demons. And I was like, dude, this is so funny.
Did he enjoy it? Did he have fun?
He loved it. Oh my gosh, he loved it. It was like this game where you had a sword, and then all of these demons would come at you, and you had to slice them up and stuff. And like he loved it. Yeah, and yeah, this is where I got all those pictures of like where I made really really good food for them because I wanted to take care of them and stuff.
Wait, was this recently? Was this the food you showed me?
This was the it was like on white plates. This was like before I moved. This was like, was this like over 5 years ago now, I think. Yeah.
I just want to say this is really endearing. By the way, this story is really endearing. This history is really endearing. Do you know the story of why and when your family immigrated to the United States?
Well, my mom would know that. I don't know.
You never asked your mom why your family immigrated to the United States?
Well, I don't want to talk about it. There's like some stuff in it. Like, I'll type it to you though.
It's interesting because most Japanese people didn't immigrate to the United States.
Here, I'll type it to you, but I don't want to say it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Most Japanese people, if you're not aware, immigrated to South America. Like we lived in Peru, and we had a bunch of Japanese friends down there. Because there's a large Japanese population in Peru.
I messaged you about it, and you can see why I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to stress you out about that. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I can talk about my family's history of why various people immigrated.
Sure.
My favorite is Simone's grandmom is the most ridiculous immigration story. So we don't have. She's by far the most recent immigrant in the entire family, is Simone's grandmom, because everyone else in our family has been here pretty much since the Mayflower. But Simone's grandmom was a Jew. People love